What does surfing and following Jesus have in common? It kind of sounds like the setup to a bad joke, right? But in all seriousness, for me, the answer to that question is that no matter how many times I try, I seem to be an expert at repeatedly screwing both of those things up. I remember as a kid, I had dreams of being a surfer. When I was 9 years old, growing up in Australia, we lived in this idyllic coastal town it was world renowned for having some of the best surfing waves. And then we moved to New Zealand, and my dreams were dashed on the rocks of an icy, cold, new reality. And so I didn't learn to surf, I learned to do snow sports, and that was fun and that was amazing. And then I moved back to Australia, and I was still desperate to experience and be a part of the surfing community. And so as an adult, I bought my first ever surfboard, and I was determined to learn to surf. Well, didn't go quite so great for me. I would paddle out and I'd try my best, and I probably didn't make it past the waves most times that I attempted. And then I would try and stand up and I would fall sideways, or I wouldn't even make it off my knees. It was not something that I was very good at, and I got repeatedly more and more frustrated and annoyed that I could not seem to crack the code or get good enough to join and be a part of the surfing community and to pick up this skill or this talent that I really wanted for my life. Everything changed one day when I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who was a surfer, and I'd just been so frustrated that I wasn't able to do it. And this friend had been surfing his whole life, and so we struck up a conversation, and he said to me, "Dave, you're thinking about it all wrong. It's not about whether or not you stand up and do all the best tricks, and you don't need to do any of that. It's about so much more than that. It's about getting on your board and actually just paddling, feeling the waves and the swell and the ocean. The chances are you're probably gonna get dumped like crazy time and time again. Every now and then the board will probably smash you in the face. But then the moment will come," he said, "when you stand up and you catch the wave and you feel like you're in control of the board, and life could not be more perfect than in that moment." Now, I've experienced that moment just a few short handful of times since then. I still to this day tell people that I'm more of a flopper than I am a surfer. But I love to get the board out when I can and go for a paddle and experience the ocean and just be a part of this thing and this community and this talent that I still don't have and I'm still working on, but that I've always wanted and that I can do and feel like I'm a part of even right now. You know, maybe sometimes you feel a little bit that way when it comes to following God. Maybe you've wondered at some point in your life whether you're actually worthy to follow God. I've wrestled with this question over and over again in my own life. Do I really deserve this love of God? Like, I hear all these people talk about it, and I read my Bible and I kind of understand that God loves me, but I've really wondered, am I good enough? Can I do this? Am I actually worthy to be on this journey called following Jesus? But here's the thing, kind of like me with surfing, that's actually the wrong question to ask to begin with, because God can use and wants to use flawed people. Or here's another truth for you. The reality is that the only people that God actually uses on this earth are flawed people, because none of us are perfect. None of us have it all together. It's impossible to be excluded from the opportunity of life with God. It's totally up to you, and it's totally up to me. It's about getting in and giving it a shot, knowing that you'll have the high moments like riding the wave where life could just not feel more perfect. And knowing that also life is gonna dump you and you're gonna feel tumbled and hit by the board every now and then. But the great news is that the point is not in how good you are or aren't. The point is whether or not you choose to get in and give it a go. So here's 3 questions to think about this weekend. Number 1, what is something that has made you feel inadequate when it comes to God? Name that thing and give yourself permission to know that that's okay. Number 2, have a think. What is a story in the Bible of God using a flawed person or someone who didn't necessarily have it all together for his glory? A hint, probably you'll find that most, if not all, Bible characters actually fit this category. The stories in the Bible are full of flawed people who don't have everything worked out. And then the third thing to think about is a little bit less of a question and maybe more a thinking point. Maybe you've never had that moment where you felt ready to go all in with God and give life with him a shot. I want to challenge you this week to give it a go. Not to wait until you feel ready or good enough, because honestly, you probably never will feel that way. But just to make a start and see where God takes it from there. Be well, friends.